Your freedom in Christ. Call in and ask your questions at 877-655-6755. That's toll free at 877-655-6755. Via satellite from Texas, it's The Grace Message with Dr. Andrew Farley.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Grace Message. This is Andrew Farley. So glad you're joining us tonight. That number, 877-655-6755. We've got wide open lines. That means plenty of room for you to get in with your question tonight. Maybe you've got a question about a scripture passage. Maybe you heard something in church recently and you're still scratching your head going, what is that about? Well, let's make it a conversation together right now. 877-655-6755. And if you're a first-time caller tonight, you got to know we love it. We love to hear from our first-time callers. We'd love to hear from you. And maybe you're a veteran listener who's called in the past, but it's been a while. You got something new on your mind tonight. By all means, join us as well. Again, 877-655-6755. Maybe you've got a personal problem going on in your life right now, in your marriage, with your kids, in your church. You're looking for that grace message perspective. That's precisely why we're here for you right now, toll free across the United States and Canada, 877-655-6755. We're going to start out tonight in Minnesota, and we'll talk with Debbie. Hi, Debbie. What do you got for us tonight?
Hi, Andrew. I was hoping you could give me some insight on a better perspective or a perspective. My husband and I are dealing with a 16-and-a-half-year-old son who's rebellious, defiant, sneaking out, and I don't, in wisdom, know how to address him, or we've given boundaries and rules and laws, and they're being broken, and I want to have a grace perspective, but I don't know what that means in dealing and how to handle this stuff, so yeah.
Yeah, well, what have you tried so far? I mean, have you kept him home with some sort of rules and regulations? Have you tried other things? Has there been punishments levied or discipline?
Yep, there's been consequences, removing the vehicle or taking his phone away or keeping him home from work, pulling the things that he really gravitates towards and hoping to kind of keep him in line.
Yeah.
And it seems that whatever we try, it just makes him very angry, and then he lashes out more. But he'll calm down for a while, and now he started sneaking out and has a girlfriend and on down that line. So
yeah, I hear you.
We could try to keep him home more, but I don't know. Then when he is home, we have other children in the home that are all younger, and he is disruptive, not verbally, but just always angry.
Yeah.
So it almost ruins the dynamic of the home.
Yes. Okay. I hear you, my friend. That's a challenging one. It's a difficult one. And the reason it's so challenging is because there's another person involved that you simply can't control. I mean, I commend you for trying everything you've tried, and I hear the frustration in your voice. I wish I had a magic potion to make all the teenagers across the land behave properly and not rebel and not want to sneak out and all of that. But I don't have a magic potion for you. I think I would just say this, that whatever you looked at, obviously the consequences were not dire enough. I don't know if he's really been hit with enough consequence. I mean, if you took the vehicle away for 3 days or 5 days or a week or something, that's probably not the level that you needed to go to say, hey, we mean business here, we're serious. But secondly, I think the anger thing is not going to help you. The reason that you're concerned about him is not that you're furious. The reason you would levy some sort of consequence upon him is not because you're angry with him, or at least I would hope. We can work through that anger on your end, but what you want to communicate is that you're concerned about his safety, that if a 16-year-old is out at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning with a vehicle somewhere and you don't know where he is, that's unsafe. Anything can happen in today's world. And so I think you need to convey your deep concern, and he needs to feel your heart in this. I would do more crying than I did lashing out. In other words, it's not your anger, it's your deep felt concern for his safety that is central there. And secondly, I would take a look at the consequences. It's not adding up. If a young man loves to have his vehicle and loves to have time with others, and yet you've already revoked that to a significant level and it's not registering with him, then obviously, the communication of how serious this is not really there. So I think you need to invite the girlfriend over. I think she needs to have freedom to come over. I think they need space to hang out where they have privacy. I don't think he has to be going out at 1 o'clock in the morning to try to find privacy, so to speak. You guys need to maybe be more welcoming of her and voice that to him and convey that there's a space in your home that he can use from this hour to this hour to have friends over or to have his girlfriend over. So I think he needs to hear love and support of his friendships from you. And he also needs to hear that it's not anger, it's deep concern for him and literally his safety when he's out so late. And then if the disobedience is still there, if the rebellion is still present, then I think you need to warn ahead of time. Hey, if this happens again, then we're talking about a month with no vehicle. We're not talking about a day or two. We're talking about a month. And I think you need to really convey that ahead of time and warn him about that, and then say, this is not because we're angry with you at all. We want you to have fun. We want you to have a great teenage years. We want you to enjoy your friendships, your relationships. In fact, we want you to feel the freedom to bring them over here, and we're not going to be looking over your shoulder the whole time. So create an atmosphere where that can be enjoyed, and then ratchet up the consequences if they need to be there, but convey that this is concern, not anger. I hope that helps, my friend. Reach out to us again anytime. Great to hear from you. All right, let's go now to Texas. We'll talk with Melissa. Hi, Melissa. What's on your heart tonight?
Hi, Andrew. A lot, actually. Okay, I'm not going to cry. I lost my dad in June last year.
Yeah.
And then I lost my sister in October. And in January, my husband of 25 years told me he wanted a divorce. And I'm not angry at God at all. I'm not. But what I fear is, according to him, there's no adultery. There's not anything like that. Mm-hmm. But he has left. And I just wanted to know what your perspective is on what true biblical abandonment really is.
Well, Melissa, I'm so sorry to hear what you're going through. That is a lot of loss in one single year, to lose family members to death and then to experience this divorce. I can't imagine. As far as what biblical abandonment is, it's not a good thing. In the Old Testament, if a woman, for example, was not provided for, if she was not provided for in terms of love and financial care and intimacy, physical intimacy, and even a roof over her head and clothes on her back, well, then God allowed for her to get away from that situation and find someone who would care for her. And so there was a certificate of divorce that was required to be given in the Old Testament. God required it so that a woman would not be caught in no man's land, and she would have the freedom to look elsewhere and find someone to marry who would truly care for her in the way that God intended. And so, you're seeing a situation here as we live in the New Testament era. It's not less gracious, it's more gracious. I mean, God doesn't want you to be abused or neglected. And if your husband is issuing you this certificate of divorce, so to speak, we can't control another person. I mean, what is it that you could do differently? I assume you've tried to repair things. I assume you've tried to see what the issues were, and you're not hearing back anything that could really change or fix things. You've tried to apologize for your part. You've sought a counsel, whether he would receive it or not. I mean, I'm assuming you've taken some lengths, you've gone to some lengths and taken some effort to really try to restore this relationship, and he doesn't want it. And you can't control another person. And 1 Corinthians 7 talks about someone who divorces you, and it says that you're not bound to that person. And of course you're not. I mean, otherwise you would be a slave to another person for the rest of your days long after they divorced you. So you're being abandoned in this situation, and I'm sorry that you're going through this, but I want you to know that you're not stuck. You're not stuck in a no man's land. You're truly free to move on. And my goodness, if it is as you've described it, this isn't God being disappointed in anything you've done or who you are. I mean, God's never disappointed in who you are. He's pleased with you. You're holy and righteous and blameless. Even in this, you're holy and blameless. And so you've just been hurt, and you need time to process it. You need time to walk through it and share it with trusted friends, maybe a counselor along the way. I mean, you've gone through a lot this year, Melissa. This is not common to experience grief a couple of times, and then on top of that, the grief of divorce. It's too much for a person to bear without being able to share it and talk about it with trusted friends, maybe find a good counselor to open up to. I think you need some time and some friends to come alongside you to help you through this. But you mentioned that you're not mad at God. I'm glad for that, but you need to know for certain that this is not God. I mean, this is your husband. It's not God. This is the fallen world. It's not God. And if your loved ones know the Lord, then, I mean, honestly, they're in a better place than we are right now. And I know that's hard because we miss them. I've lost a lot of people in my life. I just miss them. And there's no magic wand, there's no pill I can swallow to make it all better. But I do know that talking and time and just having that companionship where I can reach out to someone and share what's going on, that's going to be a really big deal for you. But you've got freedom here. God has not left you destitute in a no man's land. You walk with him through this day by day, and you're free to meet another person when the time is right, when you've had time to process all of this. And, you know, I mean, keep praying. He's making moves to divorce you, and you can't control that. But just keep living in the moment, keep praying that maybe there might be healing in this, but if there's not, you cut ties and you move on, and you don't let a person control you emotionally for the rest of your days. He doesn't have the right to do that with you. So just know your freedom in Christ and know that God is with you 100%. He says, I'll never leave you. I'll never forsake you. And that's true right now, Melissa, more than ever. So I hope you know that. I hope that's a big encouragement to you. And please, I'm so glad you're connected with our ministry. I want you to reach out anytime. We're grateful for you. All right, let's go now to Texas. We'll talk with Marie. Hi, Marie. What have you got for us tonight?
Yes, I've been struggling. Good evening. Thank you for taking my call. I've been struggling with the hope that I hold on to with a divorce for reconciliation, even after two affairs. And I know that he's not looking back with regret. He has moved on and has no intentions of coming back. What do I do with my hope? I don't know what to do with it.
Yeah, I think you take that hope that's been pointed right at your husband and you shift it and you point it right at Jesus. That's what I think you do, Marie. I mean, this guy is not your hope. I mean, just look at his actions. Actions speak louder than words. 2 affairs, not looking back, no regret, no interest in restoration or communication or reconciliation, I would hate for you to put your hope in him instead of putting your hope in him, Jesus. And I think he's your hope. People get abandoned all the time, and it's not God. I was just talking with another person, right? And she's experiencing something very similar. It's your choice. You're free. I mean, you can remain as you are and hold out that hope and pray toward that. But here's the thing, God will not control your husband. He won't control your ex-husband. He won't force your ex-husband to come back to you. The way this planet works is everybody has a choice. And this man that you speak of has been making his choices. And in making his choices, he's communicating something to you. And I think by now, with the 2 affairs and with no remorse after that, what kind of guy has no remorse over 2 affairs? I mean, what kind of guy is that, and why do you want to be with him? I understand you've got memory banks. I get it. I mean, we experience life with a person. We've got memories stored away. We've got an interest in having those memories continue on with the same person. I mean, of course, you're attached to him in a deep way, but I think we need to confront the question, why would you want to be with a person who's absolutely unhealthy and ungodly? He's showing no remorse over 2 affairs. That doesn't sound like anybody that you need to be with. And so you're holding out hope, and yet what if God is saying, I'm sorry, Marie, I'm not that cruel. I'm not that cruel to give you that guy again. I'm not that mean to give you that guy again. I want better for you, and I want you to see what you're really dealing with in that guy. He's no good. He's not healthy. He's not, what he's doing and the way he treated you is not the way I treat you. And so why would I sign you up for more of that? Why would I have you go through the ringer again, get back together only to experience another affair and no more regret and no more remorse? I don't want that for you, Marie. And I think that's probably, that's God's mentality. If you're getting a hard no, if you're getting no remorse and no desire for restoration from him, having prayed about it and having waited and showing zero signs of looking to even talk about it, I would run for the hills. I would take that as a sign that God is with me and he has better things for me, and he loves me, and he likes me, and he cares for me, and he doesn't want me in that abusive situation. So that's my take, Marie. I hope that helps as you think about next steps. So reach out to us again anytime. All right, let's go now to North Carolina. We'll talk with Jay. Hey, Jay, what do you got for us tonight?
Hey, Pastor Farley, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's on your mind?
Good, good. I just want to say, first of all, thank you. You've been a major blessing in my life. I wanted to just touch on James 3 briefly.
Yeah.
And it was James 3, I think verse 13, well, really it's 14. And I'm reading from the ESV. It says, but if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your hearts, do not boast and be false to the truth. And I just wanted to just get clarification. In terms of James's audience, if he's talking to believers, like why is he using the term jealousy and selfish ambition in our hearts if our hearts are renewed? I really believe that, we have become obedient from the heart. So I just want to kind of get clarification on that language. That's all.
Absolutely. Well, you back up and you look at what the audience is here in the entire letter of James. And I think you start to see your answer that there's some evangelistic appeals by this apostle James. We're told that it's an epistle written to the tribes of Israel scattered abroad. Well, I'm sorry, but the tribes of Israel doesn't mean that everybody's saved. The tribes of Israel doesn't mean that everybody's got a new heart. the tribes of Israel scattered abroad. Well, it sounds like James has got an evangelistic heart, and he's going to make an appeal to them in this letter, and he does so in a number of places, including when he says, "Cleanse your hands, you sinners, and purify your hearts." They're double-minded about who this Jesus is. Maybe they've heard a little bit about him, but then they're going back to the notion of a temple and animal sacrifices to get right and stay right with God. And so they're double-minded in many regards, and James is evangelizing them. So I think that's an important context. Anytime you crack open the letter of James, don't forget chapter 1, verses 1 and 2, as James starts talking about his audience there. And when we look at this word heart, it is the word heart, plain and simple, cardia in the Greek. And you see James then, he's warning them, "Who among you is wise and understanding? Let him show by his good behavior his deeds. But if you have bitter jealousy and selfish ambition in your heart, do not be arrogant and lie against the truth. This wisdom is that which comes down from above." It's not that kind of wisdom, but it's earthly, natural, and demonic. And so he's talking about every evil thing, demonic wisdom, selfish ambition, heart's motives are wrong. And then he says, but the wisdom from above is first pure, then peaceable. It's almost like when Paul describes the flesh and then the spirit. So James has a description of the flesh, and then James has a description of the spirit. And what he's saying is, some of you are in the flesh. You're not in the spirit yet. You've got a fleshly heart, not a spirit-given heart. You've got the old heart, not the new heart. And so to the tribes of Israel scattered abroad, I beg you, come out, come away from that demonic knowledge, come away from that selfish ambition, come away from that old heart in Adam, and come and receive a new heart. Elsewhere he says, purify yourselves, purify your hearts, and cleanse your hands, you sinners. Clearly in the New Testament, when we're talking about believers, they're called saints, not sinners. So let's keep in mind, a lot of people miss this, but nearly every epistle in the New Testament has evangelistic appeals in it, and that just makes sense. Why wouldn't Peter, James, and John and Paul, why wouldn't they all want to see others come to Christ? So I hope that helps, my friend. Reach out to us again anytime. Great to hear from you. Let's go now for our final question. We'll go to Nick, listening in Texas. Hey, Nick, what do you got for us tonight?
Hi, Andrew. You've been a great help to me through the years. I wanted to ask tonight what your beliefs are or thoughts on pets who passed, and do they live on in heaven, and will we see them again? And is there anything in the Bible that talks about that?
Okay. Yeah, as far as actual pets, I got to say, I hear where you're coming from. I've got a cat that I just love to death, and we've had over the years dogs and cats that we've really cared about in our family and in my wife's family. So I hear you have deep concern for them. Here's what we know. In a perfect world, when God created the universe, he included animals. I mean, Genesis 1, we see this. It says, and to every beast of the earth and every bird of the heavens and everything that creeps on the earth, everything that has the breath of life, I've given every green plant for food, and it was so. Behold, I will bring a flood, and we see that flood. And then what? Animals were saved in the flood. So what does that tell you? God created animals. God cares about preserving animals. We see the analogy of the lion and the lamb and the new heaven, the new earth. Why wouldn't there be animals? Why would we expect animals to be eradicated? There is enough evidence that God will be including animals in our future. As far as our loved ones, our dear pets, only God knows. But let me tell you, His heart is bigger than ours.
For more information on the broadcast ministry of Dr. Andrew Farley, please visit andrewfarley.org. That's andrewfarley.org. Join us next time as we invite you to celebrate the grace message with Dr. Andrew Farley. This program is sponsored by your generous financial support.